Okay, guys, so I saw a post on Facebook today from a woman, talking about how she was both a believer, somebody that attended church and loves Jesus, as she said, and that she also has an OnlyFans account, and that those two things can coexist with no problem because she loves her body because it was a gift of God. Okay? Now, that's a confused understanding, and that's wrong. That's not correct. It's not right. Okay? That's not how we are to use our bodies, and it is not loving our body as a gift of God and appreciating it that causes us to sell it for money. Okay? So she was wrong, but she wasn't half as wrong. Okay. She wasn't half as wrong, and it's got me a little bit heated up. As 90, I did not see a single comment on there, and I scrolled for a while, that was not attacking her, and there were thousands of people agreeing with those comments. You know, you can see the likes and the reacts, backed up by thousands of people. She's a wolf in sheep's clothing. She's not a real Christian. You're a sinner. You're condemned. You're this, you're that, you're this. Okay, so let's just address this specific thing of sexual immorality. Every time sexual immorality is mentioned in the Bible, I won't say every time, okay, I haven't screened this, but let me say that the major times when sexual immorality, fornication, etc. is mentioned in the New Testament as a behavioral thing, as in how do we address what's going on when somebody does this, it is talked about. First, they tell us it is a sin against our own body, right? For when everything a man does is outside his body, but the sin of sexual immorality is against his own body. It's a paraphrase. Okay? And the way that it's addressed is that God comes, and through the Bible, or Jesus himself when he did it, he addressed the self-worth of the person first, and then said, now don't do that. Right? Because he understands that, okay, why would we sin against our own body? It's because of a lack of understanding about our own worth. Why do we do self-destructive behaviors? It's because we have a lack of understanding about our own worth. God understands that. And he says that everything he says, every word out of his mouth is because of love for us. Okay? So when he comes down and he says, or when through Paul says, you are not your own, you are bought with a price. Therefore, obey God with your bodies. Honor God with your bodies. So, he says, first of all, you are valuable enough that you are bought with a price. What was that price, folks? It was the price of Jesus Christ. Subjecting himself to humility on the cross for us. Okay? So first he reminds us that you are worth more than everything else in the universe. And then he says, and because of that, don't do it. When the woman was about to be stoned by the Pharisees, and that's what these people are, they're Pharisees, man. They're coming on here, and I know you're fellow believers, you're fellow Christians, and I'm admonishing you right now. You're wrong because of how you dealt with this if you're one of those people, okay? It doesn't mean you're not also forgiven, but you need to be admonished for speaking this way to a fellow believer. They will know you are my disciples because you love one another, alright? But what did Jesus do? He started writing in the sand. I heard one theory that somebody had, this isn't thus saith the Lord, but one pastor had a theory. I wonder if he was sitting there writing the sins of all those Pharisees in the sand because he knew them, because God knows them, right? And he wasn't paying any attention to them, and one by one they walked away. They dropped their stones and they left. And he turned and he said, woman, where are your persecutors? Are they here to condemn you? And she says, there are none here, sir. And he says, neither do I condemn you. Therefore go and sin no more. Okay? There's now no condemnation for us who are in Christ Jesus. That's what he said. neither do I condemn you. Guess what, folks? He's the only one in the entire universe who has any right to do any condemning, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Y'all are speaking absolutely devoid of love against these people. How are you going to help them? You're stepping on them. They're already in self-harm and self-destruction. They're damaged inside. They're not having a good time on the inside. Right? They're just trying to make their way, and all they see is that everyone around them hates them. And they're just trying to figure out love. They're just trying to follow Jesus. You're going to tell you're not a real Christian. You can't claim to love Jesus because you sin. I'm sorry. Are you without sin? Is that why you're casting stones? Drop your stones, folks. If Jesus didn't do it, what right have you to do it? Right? You were not your own. You were bought with a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. That is how you respond to that. Y'all are so quick to jump to ostracizing people for sexual immorality. Man, don't get me started. You're so quick to use your words to attack people, to tear people down, especially on the internet, because you don't think there's any consequences. Well, guess what, folks? One day you will have to stand and take account for every single idle word that comes out of your mouth. If you obey Jesus and you claim that you obey Jesus and you love Jesus, then you need to follow after what he did, and you need to listen to what he said when he said that they will know who you are because you love each other. What right have you? He didn't do it. We don't have any right to do it. All right? All right.